Selangor hit by major floods. Federal government mobilizes immediate aid. MMEA working with Singapore in Indonesia to find missing victims. Good afternoon, I'm Jessica Lee. Welcome to Updates at Noon. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, in a special press conference last night, said preparations to face floods were normally made in states like Kelantan, Pahang and Terengganu, but Selangor was somewhat caught unprepared. Continuous heavy rain, which at times turned heavy over the past 2 days in the Klang Valley, caught many unprepared, either trapped at home by floodwaters or in their stranded cars along flooded roads. The Prime Minister gave his assurance on the safety of victims as the top priority of the government, apart from ensuring food supplies provided to victims, especially around the Klang Valley.
Mangsa banjir, jangan bimbang, jangan bimbang. Kita akan pastikan segala usaha untuk menyelamatkan mereka dilakukan. Cuma saya minta supaya berhati-hatilah keadaan banjir ni, jaga anak masing-masing, Berhati-hatilah kerana air kita tak tahu sedalam mana, sederas mana. Jadi kalau boleh kekalkan berada di tempat yang selamat.
The floods have wreaked havoc in the Klang Valley, especially in Selangor, where the situation was described as unprecedented, with many areas submerged in water, rendering major roads impossible and forcing many victims to be evacuated to relief centres or PPS. 45 PPS were opened with 3,826 victims from 2,551 families sheltered in Selangor so far, and 453 vehicle and logistics assets of various enforcement agencies were mobilized, involving 2,817 personnel. As of yesterday evening, several toll plazas were closed, including the Shah Alam Toll Plaza and the intersection slip road, with only the exit open at the Subang and Seafield toll plazas for those heading south and north. The government's immediate priority in response to the floods in several states is to save lives by evacuating people who are trapped. Now, Datuk Seri Ismail said the government would also ensure that food was provided to the flood victims, especially in the Klang Valley, which was the worst hit region.
InsyaAllah itu kita akan bincangkan kemudian. Yang penting sekarang ni adalah menyelamatkan nyawa dulu. Yang terperangkap, pindahkan. Tak boleh lama. Bagi saya tak boleh lama. Kita tak tahu. Air mungkin akan naik atau air akan turun. Kita tak tahu. Yang penting selamatkan mereka, pindahkan di tempat yang selamat.
He said this in response when asked if there will be financial aid and other kinds of assistance to flood victims in Selangor. He said this in a press conference at the National Disaster Command Centre last night. The Prime Minister said as the flood situation in Selangor is quite disorganised because the state is usually not affected during the monsoon season, he has instructed the Inspector General of Police to deploy more personnel to help flood victims in Selangor. He also said 500 Keluarga Malaysia squad volunteers have been mobilised to help evacuees at relief centres. Now, clearing works are underway at the Kuala Lumpur-Karak Expressway from kilometre 66.1 to kilometre 66.4, headed to Bentong following a landslide and several uprooted trees late last night. Now, Bentong Police Chief Superintendent SAHIH Momakaha, when contacted, confirmed the incident, adding that personnel were dispatched to the scene. The expressway's official Twitter account at LPT Traffic for Gombak, Karak, Kuantan, Jabor posted the notice at 3:10 a.m. The roads are still closed to all vehicles. Several videos and photos have been shared on social media platforms by those stranded. The landslide also caused several trees to be uprooted. Now, setting aside his safety risk, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah went down to the ground to check on the flood situation in the national capital last night. Now, in pictures shared by Istana Negara on its official Facebook page, Malaysia's 16th king could be seen knee-deep in floodwaters at the exit to the World Trade Center, even as rains continue to fall after midnight, and personnel from the Fire and Rescue Department could be seen aiding stranded motorists and other road users. In a brief statement, Istana Negara said the king visited the area out of personal concern and love for his citizens. The several city landmarks, including the iconic Masjid Jami in downtown Kuala Lumpur, were flooded last night. The central states across Peninsular Malaysia have been hit by extremely heavy and persistent rains over the past few days that have caused rivers to overflow their banks and flood several areas. The Meteorological Department has issued a rainfall red alert for Selangor, Perak and Pahang today. The flood had inundated several places in Selangor, including the port town of Klang and the state capital of Shah Alam, stranding hundreds of people in their cars and workplaces. Now, extreme continuous heavy rain is expected to occur today in several areas in the capital, Perak, Pahang and Selangor. The Meteorological Department, or Met Malaysia, through a weather alert issued at 1:40 a.m., informed the areas involved in Perak are Manjung, Kinta, Central Perak, Kampa, Bagan Datuk, Hilir Perak, Batang Padang and Mualim. In Pahang, the affected areas are Cameron Highlands, Lepis, Raup, Jerantut, Bentong and Kuantan, while in Selangor are Sabak Bernam, Kuala Selangor, Hulu Selangor, Klang, Gombak, Petaling, Kuala Langat and Hulu Langat. Continuous heavy rain is also expected to occur in Kuala Muda, Kulim and Bandar Baru in Kedah, Pahang, Termeloh, Maran and Pekan, Sepang Selangor, Putrajaya and Jelebu Negeri Sembilan. Met Malaysia also issued a continuous rain alert throughout Perlis, Kedah, Langkawi, Kubang Pasu, Kota Star, Pokok Serna, Padang Terap, Yan, Pendang, Sig and Baling. In Perak, Hulu Perak and Kelantan, Tumpat, Pasir Mas, Kota Baru, Jeli, Tanah Merah, Baco, Machang, Pasir Putih and Kuala Krai. Now, similar weather conditions are also expected to occur throughout Terengganu and Melaka, Pahang, Bera and Rompin, Negeri Sembilan, Seremban, Port Dickson, Kuala Pilah, Rembau, Jempol and Tampin, as well as Tangkak, Segamat, Muar and Batu Pahat in Johor. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, or MMEA, is working with Indonesia and Singapore to track down the remaining missing victims of the boat capsized in Tanjung Balau near Kota Tinggi on Wednesday. Now, Johor MMEA Deputy Director of Operations Maritime Captain Simon Templar Low said the Putrajaya Maritime Rescue Coordination Centre, or MRCC, had informed the search centres of the two countries besides using the navigational telex or NAVTEX method. He said this to reporters when asked to comment on whether the Malaysian Maritime Authority had established cooperation with neighbouring countries to track down the 16 victims who are still missing. Meanwhile, Captain Simon said as of 3 p.m. yesterday, no new findings had been recorded. He said according to SOP, search and rescue SAR operations would be conducted for 4 days and in some cases could reach up to 10 days. If the SAR is stopped, Captain Simon said the search operation will continue, but not in an integrated manner and more focused on the respective agencies. He said the weather conditions, which were unpredictable with rain, big waves and limited visibility, made the mission difficult. The SAR search radius using aircraft was expanded to 76.5 square nautical miles, while the search at sea was 106.02 square nautical miles. The number of victims drowned in the boat capsize remains at 21 people, with 13 rescued and more than 16 still feared missing. Gabungan Parti Sarawak or GPS Chairman Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg was last night sworn in as Sarawak Chief Minister after the four-party coalition won the 12th state elections. And Tan Sri Abang Johari, who was clad in black baju Melayu, took the oath of office before the Yang di-Pertua Negeri of Sarawak, Tun Abdul Taib Mahmud, at Astana Negeri in Kuching. Also present was Tun Abdul Taib's wife, Puan Raga Kurdi Taib, and Tan Sri Abang Johari's wife, Puan Sri Jumaani Tun Tuanku Bujang. Also present to witness the swearing-in were Dato' Amar Awang Tengah Ali Hassan and Dato' Amar Douglas Unga Embas, who were the Deputy Chief Ministers in the previous cabinet. This is the second time that Tan Sri Abang Johari, who won the Gedong state seat, has been appointed Sarawak Chief Minister. The first time was on the 13th of January 2017 when he replaced the late Tan Sri Adinan Satim, who died of a heart attack. Tan Sri Abang Johari heads GPS, which comprises Parti Pesaka Bumiputra Bersatu (PBB), Sarawak United People's Party (SUPP), Parti Rakyat Sarawak (PRS), and Progressive Democratic Party (PDP). This is the first time the coalition contested an election using its own logo. Earlier, Election Commission EC Chairman Dato' Abdul Ghani Saleh confirmed that GPS had won 45 out of the 82 state seats contested in this election as of 8:45 p.m. yesterday to form the new state government. In other news, toll payments using radio frequency identification or RFID technology being introduced at the Juru Skudai stretch of the North-South Expressway Plus beginning 15th of January next year is just an additional option to the existing payment platforms. Plus Managing Director Dato' Azman Ismail said toll payments using touch-and-go cards and smart tags will still be available despite the introduction of the RFID technology. In a statement yesterday, Dato' Azman clarifies that both Touch and Go and Smart Tag platforms will remain operational and only one RFID lane will be provided at each toll plaza on the Juru Skudai stretch. He said a toll transaction using RFID technology was the first step towards implementing toll transactions without the presence of toll plazas through the multi-lane free flow system. In this regard, Plus encourages highway users to switch to the RFID toll transaction system by getting their RFID tags, which are now available online through the Touch and Go e-wallet application or Touch and Go portal, as well as at 39 RFID fitment centres across the peninsula. Harimau Malaya are ready for the do-or-die situation in their final Group B match against Indonesia in the 2020 ASEAN Football Federation or AFF Cup Championship at the Singapore National Stadium this evening, according to head coach Tan Ching Ho. He said despite the pressure, his men were fully capable of winning the match against the Garuda squad to secure a berth in the semi-finals. He said it was key for his men to focus on their own game plan rather than on their opponent's tactics and hope that they could be more efficient in front of goal.
We don't know whether Indonesia is playing as a defending a team or they will go offensive against us. But the most important that any situation, I want my players is 1v1 duels very important. Then if going for attack, it's more creative and trying to find a space in between the line or the defending block. So we need to create more chances for our team to score the goal.
Meanwhile, Ching Ho said he had not yet decided if he would start with young striker Lukman Hakim Samsudin or naturalised player Gerheme De Paula for today's clash. Now, apart from defenders Muhammad Aidil Zafwan Abdul Razak and Sharul Muhammad Saad, he said all players, including wingers Muhammad Faizal Abdul Halim and Muhammad Akir Abdul Rashid, were available for selection. Malaysia have collected 6 points from 3 games in Group B and currently sit in third place behind leaders Indonesia and Vietnam, who have 7 points each. Indonesia only need a draw against Malaysia to advance to the semi-finals, while Vietnam, who are scheduled to meet Cambodia in their final match, are not expected to face any difficulty in heading into the semis. In badminton news, Malaysia's challenge at the 2021 World Championships fizzles out as the country's remaining representatives in the semi-final stage, the men's doubles pair, Ong Yu-sin and Teo Yi were shown the exit on Saturday. The independent pair, ranked 12th in the world, was no threat to the world number 4, Takuro Hoki and Yugo Kobayashi, in the last 4 stage, as the Japanese recorded a 21-13, 21-9 victory in just 32 minutes at Huelva, Spain. Despite the loss, the 2020 Thailand Masters champions can walk tall as the World Championship bronze medalists. The Japanese pair will be hunting for the title on Sunday against China's He Ji-ting and Tan Chiang after they defeated Kim Astrup and Anders Rasmussen of Denmark 21-16, 13-21, 21-15 in the other semi-final. Yu Sin and Yi cruised into the semi-finals by stunning Tokyo 2020 Olympic champions Li Yang and Wang Qilin in the quarterfinals on Friday.
The number of malicious and false statements spread by SMS or social media platforms have become too widespread. The public is advised to be careful and not fall for such ploys and sharing or forwarding such messages. Remember that spreading fake news is an offense under Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998. This carries the penalty of a fine not exceeding 50,000 ringgit or up to 1 year imprisonment or both upon conviction.
And that's it from us in our top story. Selangor hit by major floods. Federal government mobilizes immediate aid. News at 10 comes on this evening on My Free View's Berita RTM news channel. I'm Jessica Lee. Stay safe wherever you are.